How's it going, guys? It's J. Michael Whalen here, and thank you so much for joining me. Here we go with the second episode of Goofing Around with Art Supplies. Really appreciate you guys coming here. This time I'm going to get into watercolor. I have been dabbling with watercolor for quite a while, forever, or if you want to really look at it that way. I think it's what everybody sort of gets into when they're really little kids with those Crayola little kits that seem to just be in every kid's house. I don't know how he gets there. I think grandparents are the main culprits. Nonetheless, I am using Artist Loft Series 2, which is, I guess, to be honest, I think the Series 1 is sort of like that Crayola tablet one that comes in the little kit. But I was very fortunate enough to be given a 24 color set that must have been like $9.99 or something like that. Artist Loft is, for those that are not acquainted with it, it is Michael's brand of art supplies. They get a lot of flack on everything they do, to be honest. It's good. It's not great, obviously. I mean, they have alcohol markers, which I'll be getting into soon, and the markers themselves fall apart. That's really what the problem is. They dry out really fast. I do have a set of their oils, and I haven't even opened them up yet. But the watercolors, because I don't really take it that extreme, they do a decent job. And for those that are eagle-eyed, you can see what I have to work with is there on the right side of the screen. What I did was I bought an even cheaper version of watercolor from a company, I believe they were called Alvin, and I popped out those dry little tablets, and then I filled in each one of those compartments with a separate color from the Artist Loft series and let it dry for several days, and that became like my to-go watercolor set. What I'm doing right now is actually peeling off the mask. I use Winsor & Newton latex mask just to keep a little bit of what I wanted light to be preserved and still be able to do a wash. It's the first time I was working with it. It's okay. I don't think I did the best job, but it did what it needed to do, and I knew certain things that got a little bit of bleeding into were going to be darker. I'm applying a second coat here to the bottom of it because I was going to do the stage floor and another wash. And as you can tell, like it's essentially just like painting with liquid latex. That's really what it is. It smells pretty bad, so if you do want to dabble in it, you have been warned. It does not smell the best, and I heard that when it starts to go bad or dry out, it gets even worse, which I believe. I personally do not like latex. I don't like the smell of it. It drives me crazy, and I think it goes back to being a kid and the dentist when they used latex gloves. It's permanently damaged me. So here we go, applying a burnt sienna that is super watered down. Wash just across the board. This is the fluid watercolor paper cold press finish that I did the previous piece on, which was the acrylic paint. I still don't really feel that good about that one. This one I do feel a lot better with, and I think it's because I'm much more familiar with the watercolor. Nonetheless, you just gotta make do with what you have, and the whole point of it is to kind of make a mess, to be honest with you. I'm always surprised when anything turns out that is fairly legible. I know a lot of people out there feel the same way. It's kind of a miracle that, and a testament to the fact that if you just keep pushing hard enough and you just keep working through things, you actually come up with something not that bad. It's not that terrible, I'll be honest. And I am just applying darker and darker shades of the burnt sienna mixed with yellow in this one. I was going to do a little bit of a drop shadow for them. I don't know why I put the yellow, to be honest. I think I was just goofing around. But it's starting to take shape. I do have a hair dryer, but I did not use it on this piece. I know a lot of people do. Hair dryers speed things up quite a bit, but this one, I think because I had so many other things going on, I would do a little bit here, film it, let it dry for a few hours, if not overnight, or maybe even several days, because I do believe this whole thing took about 4 days to do. Feel free to laugh. I mean, this is not. The Mona Lisa, this is not, guys. But anyway, idea was I just want to do something stupid and kind of goofy. And that's what you got with this one. This is essentially a banana singing with a tomato playing a saxophone on stage. Yeah. Fun part of removing the mask yet again. It is actually a pretty useful thing, except, you sort of do lift off a lot of the watercolor, which I was surprised of. It's a little bit too clear of a line, but what can you do, It preserved the whites as best as I could, and it did a good job with that. I mean, it really does keep everything under the mask super clean. Now getting it off can be a bit of a challenge. I also heard a lot of people use rubber cement, and it's a great substitute. And from what I can remember dealing with rubber cement, it actually smells a lot better. Here we go in with just a straight yellow, a little bit watered down, but yellow is such an easy color to paint on top of that you don't need to be too careful about having it watered down or too bold or whatever. You could certainly build layers to it. I did. Now, if you notice, I actually forgot to put masking fluid on his left arm, which, isn't that big of a deal because I was going to black it out anyway, but it would have been catastrophe if I needed that to remain some sort of clear color or light color. And for the actual banana peel at the bottom, I hit it a lot harder with the yellow. Very little water went into the brush to get it pigmented that way. But as for the paints themselves, I by no means am an expert. They do fine. You can tell they're just not as pigmented as a lot of the other brands out there, which is kind of to be expected. I mean, you sort of do get what you pay for, and these are very cheap, very inexpensive. I don't want to say cheap. You could probably, in much more skilled hands, it could probably do incredible stuff. However, this is not, St. Petersburg paints. This is not Van Gogh. This is not Winsor and Newton by any stretch of the imagination. And you can tell just by using it that it's not as pigmented. It feels a little bit runny no matter what you do. You can almost, very little water is how you get that sort of saturated color for some of these. This, believe it or not, I've actually done a lot. I'd actually done a lot, and I don't know what happened. I just didn't happen to record it, I guess. But you can see there's a lot of progress that had been made. I put a lot of shading to it, a lot of different colors, a lot of different tones. And who knows, maybe it is better for you to not have to sit through every little thing I did. But put a little bit of the purple in there just because I figured blue and red, that's what you'd end up getting. It's supposed to be like a blue, sort of like smoky stage light on it. And so here we go with the lining, and I'm actually using Rotring ink, and I believe a Princeton number 3. Princeton makes a pretty good little set of synthetic sable hair brushes that I really enjoy using. I've used them for a bit. They're holding up fairly well, but you can tell it's just no comparison to the Series 7 by Winsor & Newton. However, something like this, I'm pretty pleased with it. And here we go with the fun part, taking the tape off. This is the worst tape to use. This is actually some kind of industrial paint tape, and it just wants to rip every fiber of the paper out. It is insane. So I got to go pretty slow. It's pretty annoying. And there were plenty of times I just wanted to rip the whole thing, cut it out. Actually, I was so tempted to just cut around the green border, but I persist. And there we have it, the final piece. A little bit of an Elvis singing banana. Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking, but it was fun to do. No pressure. Let me know if you want this. I'll send it to you, no problem. And once again, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it, and I will catch you on the next one. As always, be like water, my friend.